This is Charter Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance, and we are joined today by Chad Mays. He is a member of the California State Assembly, representing significant portions of the Inland Empire, a huge district. Huge.
It is.
How big?
It is. Well, I mean, I don't know how big by miles, but it takes about an hour and 45 minutes to get from one side of the district to the other. So I've got La Quinta on the easternmost portion. Yeah, that's a great community.
Right.
All the way down to Yucaipa, Hemet, San Jacinto, all the way out to Tornado Palms and Tornado Palms Marine Corps Base.
Very hot.
It's hot right now, no doubt.
Very dry.
Yes.
And so I want to get a sense from you, how are your constituents doing during this drought?
You know, I mean, it is a topic of conversation. Just this morning, I had a community meeting, Mornings with Mays.
I like it.
The first
I like
one
it. I want to go.
Yeah, we should. We'll invite you next time.
I appreciate it.
But it was in Hemet, and so I had some folks from the community that met with me, and that was a topic this morning about water. So I've got to tell you, for me, water. And we often talk about this. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
Just in my district, it is wildly different between Yucaipa, even through the pass area, Hemet, San Jacinto, out to
Yucaipa. I mean, it's practically L.A. I mean,
well,
in the best sense. I mean, it's a suburb of Los Angeles.
Yeah,
no,
I'm not sure they would want to say that they're part
of
LA.
But I guess it's got an urban feel.
Okay.
Whereas I got to think Hemet, not as much.
Well, okay, yeah, and Yucca Valley. We'll say Yucca Valley,
right?
Not as much. I think
I'm agreeing with you, I guess.
No, sure,
I'm agreeing with you.
Sure.
The different views.
But with the drought, some of our communities have done really well in taking state water project water and storing it, putting it in the aquifer, putting it in the groundwater basins for storage for these rainy. When we don't have rainy years, when we have these years of drought, other communities haven't done as well. And so in every pocket of my district, it's different.
And let's talk about storage. So if we were speaking to each other 25, 30 years ago, your friends on the Democratic side of the aisle would have seen storage as a dirty word.
Yeah.
That would we would never be discussing storage.
Yeah.
Dams, damn the dams. And now things have changed. I think there is a sense amongst Democrats and Republicans that storage, especially surface storage, is part of the solution. Is that fair? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think that, I'd hope so. I mean, in the conversations that I've had with some of my Democratic colleagues in private, I've heard those sort of rumblings.
But even in public, I mean, when the bond passed in November, I mean, storage was almost a third of the money that went to the water bond. I know some of it's groundwater, but still, surface storage is part of that solution.
That's right, and it was Republicans that really forced that and said, look, the only way we're going to deal with the water crisis is if we have more storage. And so it went from $2 billion. They tried to get it up closer to $3 billion for storage.
And it did.
Ended up with $2.7 billion to make that happen.
Here's the challenge, though.
Yeah.
So we're in a drought right now.
Yeah.
It takes time to build storage.
It does, absolutely.
A lot of time.
Yeah.
And we know that Californians are very protective of this beautiful state in which we live.
Of course, yeah.
And we have something called the California Environmental Quality Act.
Yeah.
You know that CEQA, as it's called, has been used in the past as a weapon in litigation.
Yeah.
And there have been instances where certain interests were able to get CEQA, I don't want to say exemptions, that's too broad, but they were able to get the legislature to pass specific targeted legislation to speed up any CEQA challenges in the courts.
No, absolutely, and I can tell you, if you were in Sacramento and you go down J Street right now, you get off the freeway onto J Street, you will see the new Sacramento Kings Arena, which looks like it's going to be a beautiful facility. And just a few years ago, it got a CEQA exemption from the legislature because they wanted to speed that progress up.
So they weren't excluded from the laws of CEQA. It's just any challenges had to be decided quickly. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Okay.
That's accurate. And just recently, in fact, there's the last trailer bill that the Golden State Warriors for their new project got an exemption from CEQA. And
So I understand that you and some of your colleagues are looking to allow certain water storage projects to obtain that same benefit. Not excluding the projects from CEQA, but speeding up the litigation process.
That's right. I had run a bill this year that would have said that any litigation had to be resolved within 270 days of when it was filed. And to me, if we're talking about, and that was in regards to housing, but there's also another one with water, that seems to be appropriate. That if we're in a water crisis, shouldn't we be doing whatever we can do right now to make sure that we're building that storage capacity?
So, I'm neutral. I don't take positions on bills,
Sure, yeah.
but intuitively, your argument makes some sense. I don't know, it makes a little bit of a sense.
Yeah.
What happened when you talked to your friends on the Democratic side?
Well, I think, I don't want to talk about the different pressures that they're under for not supporting it, or not my bill in regards to housing. When I put that bill before the Natural Resources Committee, and it ended up dying a quick death. There was 7 votes against and only 2 votes for.
But what about your colleague James Gallagher's bill?
Yeah.
That was focused on water storage.
It was. And the same thing happened. I don't know what the exact vote is, but when he made a very strong case for it, we've got to get these projects done. And even with that project, it couldn't be done.
Why? Do you have a sense?
I wish I knew. I mean, if I could put myself in the mind of other members,
sure.
I wish I could do
think,
that, but
look,
I can't read.
You're
I can't
a
read
young,
minds.
affable guy. My guess is you're one of the Republicans that's friends with lots of, most of you are friends with lots of the Democrats. I mean, it seems like you're pretty collegial up there.
Yeah.
Is this something that if we don't see El Nino this winter, like we think we may, that this bill could come back to life?
If the pressures of the drought continues to get worse, then maybe. My hope is that it will begin to rain, and my hope is that we'll start getting some CEQA reform done, so that people can't use it, as you say, a tool.
And it's interesting because Governor Brown, a man of faith, has said it's the Lord's work for him to reform CEQA. I mean, he has said that.
Absolutely.
And so I wonder, if maybe you all should start triangulating. So, work with the governor. I mean, look, Republicans have plenty good relations with this Democratic governor.
That's right.
Is there a way for you and Kristen Olson, who's your leader, to get to the governor on this issue? Because if, CEQA reform is the Lord's work, that's his words, not mine, why not try to triangulate on it?
Well, I understand where you're coming from.
Right.
I think, the truth is I think it's just good public policy to reform CEQA. If you look at all of our issues, whether it's water infrastructure, whether it's transportation infrastructure, whether it's housing, CEQA is a hurdle that folks have to.
President Obama triangulated on trade. Okay, Bill Clinton triangulated on, I think, was it welfare reform or whatever it is? Meaning you had a Democrat working with the Republicans in the legislature.
Yeah. No, look, no, absolutely. I think on all of these things, we want to make sure that we're working together. It's not about the political games. It's not about trying to win. It's about making sure there's good public policy. And today, we need more water infrastructure built. We need more transportation. We need more roads and bridges, some of our bridges fixed.
And we have a special session on that.
And we need more housing to be built as well. And CEQA is a hurdle to try to get those things done. And so I think we need to get that, it needs to be reformed.
So to broaden it out, if I may.
Yeah.
We've heard rumblings about CEQA reform. Yeah. Do you think, taking it away from water, taking it away from housing, that maybe when you go back for the fall session, or I know it's a short one, or next year, 2016, that CEQA reform could be put on the table and truly debated?
I really do hope that the legislative leaders, I know on the Republican side, we've been talking about CEQA reform. I would hope that the majority party and some of the members in the majority party will look at this and say, yes, we've got to do something about CEQA, because it's just creating too many hurdles in the way of getting some things done.
So you're a new member. How's it been?
It's been,
Talk to me.
No, you know what, it has been, it's been fun. People say, do you enjoy it? And I say, well, enjoy is probably a little strong.
Well, I bet you do.
But
you're that guy.
No, but it's fascinating. On one end, it's disappointing. On another, and I say disappointing in the sense of, just yesterday we had this.
Recently,
recently we had this debate about vaccines.
Yeah.
And I was fascinated by the debate and the discussion. I wish every single day on the floor of the Assembly that we had those sorts of debates and discussion.
We'll make it happen.
And that kind of discourse. So we're working on that.
His name is Chad Mays. He is a member of the California State Assembly. My name is Brad Pomerance, and you are watching Charter Local Edition.